let's take a look at our problem of the day. Problem of the day today, the third and fifth terms of an arithmetic sequence are 172. So 100 is going to be our third term. 72 we're going to call the fifth term. I probably should have put the word respectively in there. That means you would match up third and 100, fifth and 72 together, but I hope most of you kind of knew the flavor and the general idea. But you know what? It does make a difference which number goes with which term. And we'll explore that a little bit here in case some of you might have thought when you looked at Facebook or whatever, well, I wonder if he means 72 and 100 or means 100 and then 72. Well, we'll take it left to right. How's that? And then we're going to be looking for the first, second, and fourth terms. So let's take a look at this little thing. Speaking of looking, let's take a look at it. And knowing we have the third and fifth terms of an arithmetic sequence. So we're looking for number 1. We're looking for number 2. We got number 3. I'm going to put 100 in there. All right. We got number 4. And last but not least, we got number 5, 72. Now, folks, arithmetic means that between each of these terms, there's got to be a common difference. Now, yesterday we had a problem like this in Problem of the Day also. Those of you tuned in and played with it and worked with it. Only we had two blanks in between the two numbers we dealt with, all right? This time a little bit simpler. We are going to figure out, all right, first of all, by the way, let's make a note real quickly here. We're going downhill, so this is going to be a negative difference. We're going to be subtracting the same amount from each of these as we move down the stream, all right? So we work back upstream, guess what? We're going to be adding. Yes, we're going to be making numbers bigger as we go up the stream. A little bit of good common sense. This, folks, is a problem for anybody, all right? This is not really just an algebra type problem. This is one of those things that you probably start working with in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and many of you middle school, even elementary students can figure this one out probably pretty well. But what we're looking for here is what's dead set in the middle, because we have one number that is the equal distance from 100 and equidistant from 72. So we're looking for this number that's really at the midpoint, exactly the midpoint there. What's dead center? So how do we do that? Y'all remember from your little old moments, middle means as an average, right? Midpoint is the average of these two numbers. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to take 100 and I'm going to add 72. And that's easy. We get 172. And what I want to do, I want to divide by 2. And that's going to give us that midpoint. Now, you think that'll work? Of course it will. I wouldn't lie to you, would I? Let's see. 2 goes into 17. I believe it's going to go 8 times. And 8 times 2, that's going to give us 16. Do a quick subtraction before I run off the page. There it is. 2 goes in 12. It's going to give us, looks like 86. And nothing left over. So let's go with 86. Now, why is that important to establish that? Because we can figure out how far away from 100 and how far away from 72. In other words, what's our common difference? What just happened? Well, it looks to me like we subtracted 14. And here, we subtracted 14. Now, time to work a little bit backwards. How do we get back up here? How do we go back upstream, so to speak? Well, folks, if we're going to the right this time, we were subtracting 14. To work it in reverse, you got it. We're going to add 14 back this way. So it looks like we're going to have 114. Add that one more time. I'm getting 128. I think a couple of you on Facebook did pull that answer for me. Let's see if I can keep pushing that thing around. And notice again, did we subtract? Yes, we did. Subtracted 14 to get to this one. We subtracted 14 once again, getting to 100, and on down the road. That's your problem of the day.